Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Total Picture. Today, it's still planting season, but what happens after that? Let's roll that intro. So, as you know, we are in the middle of the planting season. Our corn and soybean teams are still hard at work to make sure we get our crop in the ground for the year. But this past week I was asked the question, what happens after planting? Now, the person I was talking to knew about detasseling for corn, and of course, everybody knows about harvest, but they really didn't know what happened in between planting and detasseling. And so I thought it'd be something fun to introduce to you guys so we have something to look forward to and something we can reference back to as what we go through in our process of how we take care of both our corn and soybeans. So first of all, for corn, as I said, detasseling season is kind of the next big busy push that we have. But in between the beginning of planting season and the beginning of detasseling season, there's about 2.5 months worth of work that we have to focus on. So after we plant our corn, there's a few things that can happen right away. So first of all, right after emergence, we will add nitrogen to some of our cornfields. So this is when we go out with the 28 bar and apply nitrogen directly between the rows of the corn. You saw it earlier with the Terragator where we did spray on nitrogen application, and we do that before planting season, and we cultivate the dirt and kind of get all that turned up inside of itself. So that's one way we do nitrogen, but after planting, we'll do the 28 bar. And that's a more direct, straight to the source nitrogen application. So our next process that we have to do is a lot more hands-on, and it is taking a volunteer and deroguing. So what this is when we walk our fields, we see corn that's off the main row, and we have to look at that corn and say, okay, that is rogue or that's volunteer. We have to take that up because it can drastically affect our hybridization process and the purity of our corn crop. So we take up these stray corn stalks, and that helps keep our purity up, and it's very important. Like I said, it's a walking pass. So we have teams that will go out and walk fields and find rogue corn and volunteer, and they will take up the corn and make sure that we keep the purity of our fields as high as possible through this process. And now you're probably wondering, what is volunteer, what's rogue? So like I said, a rogue is just corn that's planted off the line. A seed might have fallen out. It might have gotten an extra seed distributed from the planter, but it's off the row, so we don't know if it's actually for that inbred line or not. So it could be volunteer, which is corn that is from the year before, that is in our field, that is growing. We have to get rid of that again because it is not the inbred we're looking for. It's not one that we want to cross for the year. So we have to keep our purity up, and we have to get rid of any volunteer or rogues that could mess up our hybridization process. And then of course we have our spraying passes. So these are another big thing that we have to do before detasseling. So our corn crop does get certain passes before detasseling when it comes to spraying. Throughout the year we'll do insecticide, pesticide, and fungicide, and all of these help to keep our crop strong and healthy. And a new big thing that we have to do when it comes to spraying is RHS fields, which are fields that through our spraying passes become sterilized and we don't have to worry about detasseling. So this is something that we have to look at and work on. We have to make sure that the RHS system is working properly. If not, we have to go back through, we have to detassel, we have to do cutting, pulling, and all of that for those fields. But it's becoming a more and more efficient trend, and it's something that we have to work with. We're testing in certain fields. So it's an extra piece of the what we have to do before detasseling is make sure our RHS fields through our spraying passes become sterilized, and we don't have to worry about detasseling our female rows, and we just have to worry about our male rows getting their tassels, spreading their pollen, and hybridizing our fields properly. So with spraying passes on the corn side, that leads me to the soybeans. So soybeans are much less involved crop when it comes to all the things we have to do leading up to harvest. So obviously soybeans have no detasseling season. We don't have to worry about their hybridizing or anything like that. But we do have to tend to them pretty closely. So throughout the season, we have to do a lot of spraying passes. We have to make sure they have proper water, proper sunlight, because while our corn, we measure their growth by heat units, soybean, we have to measure their time in the sun, how much sunlight they're getting, and we have to keep a close eye on how well they're doing, if they're turning brown too early, if they are getting the proper growth rates, all that sort of thing. So throughout the year, we have to do measurements and check our soybean fields. And while they don't get as many rolling passes, there's still a lot of walking passes, a lot of numbers to take to make sure that our soybean fields are in proper condition, that they are getting all that they need, and that they are growing at the proper rate, and that they're going to produce the amount of bushels that we need to fulfill our orders and have a successful year in our soybean fields. But like I said, there's still a lot of work that goes into them. And I've mentioned it before, we're going to have a piece this fall that kind of covers from start to finish everything that goes into getting our soybean crop prepped in the ground, cared for, and eventually, of course, harvested. So we're excited to share that with you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, this was an interesting one for me to cover because we talk about it a lot, but we don't really introduce it because it's something that just kind of happens for us every year. But it's fun to dive into these things and talk about them, so you guys can be ready and you guys can have a little knowledge when we share about when we're actually doing it, so that you guys have a better idea of what we're doing when we're doing it. So I appreciate the question I got from a friend of mine this week. I hope you guys learned something today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. And if you want more content from us, you can go follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And if you want even more content from us, you can go subscribe to our monthly Total Focus newsletter. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.